Hello, everyone. Welcome to the course. This is you might say, a thematic course overview. It will be another video I'll send out, which will briefly go over the practical things about the course. It's a course in moral philosophy. It's only 6 weeks long, so there's not a lot we can do in 6 weeks. So, teaching a 5 or 6 week course is very tricky. On the one hand, you want it to be a legit course. It's supposed to cover as much material as a full semester course. But on the other hand, you don't want to overload your students, so they don't have enough time to spend with the material and let it sink in and be meaningful to them. So what I've tried to do is to make certain compromises and judgments about things. As you'll see, the course is organized by week, and each week there's a central thinker. We start with Epictetus and his Enchiridion, the Handbook of Epictetus, a great ancient Stoic philosopher. Then we read the great Catholic medieval theologian and philosopher Thomas Aquinas, and then we take a look at the 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant and his moral philosophy. Then we look at utilitarianism through John Stuart Mill. And then in weeks 5 and 6, we take a somewhat different approach, and we're going to read Ruth Benedict's famous essay, Anthropology and the Abnormal, which is one of the touchstones of cultural relativism. And then we dip into evolution and morality. So it's kind of a collection of my favorite things, really, honestly, having to do with moral philosophy. Uh, there's no unifying approach. We look at different aspects of moral philosophy. For instance, week one, Epictetus' Stoicism, he is telling us how to live. Right? He's just straight up saying you got to do this if you want to live right, which is a certain way of doing moral philosophy, telling people how they should live. Um, when we move on to Thomas Aquinas, Kant, and John Stuart Mill, it's a different sort of thing. It's not that they're not giving us advice on how to live, but they're trying to bring out the foundations of morality. That is, if I tell you how to live, I'm telling you what the good is, and if I tell you what the good is, I must have some criterion for that. What it means to do something that is good as opposed to bad. So there's not a lot of moral theory in Epictetus. It's really practical advice, whereas uh, Thomas Aquinas, Kant, and utilitarianism are really about putting morality on some sort of foundation so that we can say what it means to do something that is morally right and morally wrong. Now, weeks 5 and 6 are a little different from that too. I mean, it's almost like their character. These weeks really call into question what morality is. Ruth Benedict's idea is that morality is entirely a matter of culture, and so there is infinite variation in what counts as good, as right and wrong. The moral is a variant of the normal, and the normal changes from culture to culture. So it really is a kind of a very, very compelling, um, but ultimately questionable um, idea of morality being entirely a matter of culture, relative to culture. And the final idea really is quite an interesting idea, I think. Obviously, I put it in, so I think it's interesting. And that is the effect on our conception of morality of the theory of evolution, Darwin's theory of evolution. Uh, if Ruth Benedict said that morality was simply a product of culture like everything else, then Darwin would have to say that morality, like everything else, is conditioned and emerges out of evolutionary history, so that we would regard morality as a natural phenomenon. and ultimately adaptation, like anything else in evolutionary history. So it's quite a challenge. So I don't think I have a unifying theme. I have different major ideas. I think that what you'll get out of the course, first of all, just the joy of reading Epictetus. But then with Aquinas, Thomas Aquinas, Kant, and John Stuart Mill, a good idea of the range of available moral theories. And then in the last 2 weeks, these profound challenges to our conception of ourselves as moral creatures that come from Benedict's cultural relativism and Darwin's theory of evolution by way of natural selection.